Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. And welcome, Justin. How you keeping?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Pretty good this week. The show, as always, is brought to you by Iron Cairn Cask Programme, sponsors of Irish Whiskey Review. What's that all about, Marty? You've talked to them more than me.
They are running the 464 Founders Cask Programme. And basically, you can get on the ground level. I know lots of people who have bought casks of whiskey off distilleries that they like. And this one will be up in the golden mountains of the Spirit Mountains. And what you can do is there'll be 464 casks, individually numbered and personalised with your name. Your cask will be filled with a masterfully handcrafted new spirit and laid down in grade A first fill ex-bourbon oak casks. And you will get, just let me read this so we'll get it right, storage, maturation insurance for your cask for 5 years, a 100ml bottle of the new mixed spirit used in filling your cask as a reminder of how your whiskey began its life, final bottling of your cask at either 46% or cask strength, including cost of the bottles, 700 or 750 millilitres, labelling, including your personalised cask name or statement, out your case packaging, all other associated bottling costs, a unique owner certificate, and an open invitation to come and say hello to them and touch your little cask while it's there. So there you go.
It'd be like rubbing Aladdin's lamp, wouldn't it?
Just you'd be sitting there like that. You'd be trying to fight off the angels. That's what you'd be. Well, saying that, you heathen. You would be. Yeah. So have a look. Go and check it out, and who knows, buy a cask.
There you go. Our friends at Prestige Whiskey Auctions are watching. Happy Saturday, guys. Yes, happy Easter.
Hi, yes.
Happy Easter. Good evening to you. Yes. And Mark Kerr says, but wait, there's more. Yeah, there's always more.
There's more. Hey, do you know Kieran Mulgrew down at Quiet Man? You know his uncle is Jimmy Cricket.
You're winding me up.
No, I'm 100% serious. Come here, there's more. Did I know that by the comedian?
Right. Yeah, Jimmy Cricket. He's still on the circuit in England. I think he was on at Paul Hazel's comedy club in Hull recently.
I think he lives in Yorkshire or something like that. But he's come here. There's more. He's a whiskey connection. So I'll connect it, Justin. I keep telling you.
I think I've interviewed Jimmy Cricket once. Can't remember what about, but
that's maybe why they found it a drinks company. They got overview interview
something like that. We said hello to everybody watching. It's on screen.
I'm on this tonight.
Oh,
43% Black Bush. That's lovely. And everybody's losing their shit about this, by the way. About trying to get their hands on a bottle of this.
I didn't see it at the airport.
That's because you weren't looking, Justin. That's why
I was looking.
It's okay. It's all right. It's a bit sweeter than ordinary Black Bush, because this is basically Black Bush. You know, this is Black Bush, except it's finished in a PX rather than Oloroso sherry cask. But I prefer this. The French bottling, 43% Black Bush. Superb. a little bit ironic. A little bit ironic. Actually, probably improves a little bit with a tiny little bit of water in it. Yeah, I don't know how that's working, but that's nonetheless. You know, it's at 43%. You had a tiny bit of water to it. It actually opens up a little bit, which would probably take it down to your 40% of your Black Bush. But there you go. But yeah, it's nice. It's got a real nice sort of. The alcohol sort of lifts it a little bit. It gives it a bit of sweet, a bit of sweetness without elevating the sweetness of it, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. Gosh, you've a selection out tonight, haven't you?
Yeah. Well. No, I always have a selection out. Can you move yourself over and then we can see these bottles? Because there's a couple of things I want to show here. Short Cross, we got a taste of this. I've actually finished my little miniature that I have of it. This is really interesting stuff. It's on the nose. It's very bubblegummy and whatnot. And then whenever you're actually tasting it, it tastes slightly different than it noses. But I was in Scotland this week, Justin, right? And I want to point this out because Irish whiskey's too expensive.
Connor's noticed the bottle of Cadenhead, by the way.
Bottle of Cadenhead, right? Now, I was in Cadenhead on the Royal Mile. I had guests walking up and down the Royal Mile. I always like to stay about and put my head in and see what's what. Now, where do you see this? This as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I'll have to get one of them." Now, this is a bottle of Cambus Distillery, 28-year-old single grain. Now, Cambus, by the way, anyone who's watched our what you call it, the show from the Alowa, the Clackmannshire Whisky Festival, Cambus is closed down. This is a ghost distillery, 28-year-old single grain whisky. That was £110. What would the equivalent of that be in Irish? I mean, I would have to go to the auction, and it would be Christ knows how much. And I can't help but thinking a lot of Irish whiskey is really beginning to price itself out of the market. I've kind of stopped buying stuff to drink unless something like this pops up, and this is a bargain as well. I mean, this you have to get it from France and stuff, but it's like €25 or €28 a bottle or something like that. It's not dear.
Somebody's asking Stephen Quinn's asking, how do you get that from France? Where did you pick that up?
You just have to find a French off license who's willing to post it to may we
D'accord.
D'accord, bon accord, and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just have to search them down and whatnot, and then pray you don't get happy import duties. That we picked up at Edinburgh Airport, that was like £25 as well. But I mean, how you sort of wonder how Irish whiskey, and I know there's tax, but there's also taxes in France and all that kind of stuff. This is like £25 at the airport. Okay, so add on a tenner of tax or £12, whatever it's going to be. It's only like £30 Still a sub £40 bottle. And there's loads of whiskey out there at the minute that's Irish whiskies that are charging huge amounts of money for it's not brilliant quality stuff. I mean, you're talking. I see James is on there. James is silky, perfectly affordable, €35 or thereabouts. His cask strength silkies at €75. Wonderfully affordable. Brilliant.
Linda Cox is saying she finally got it in Canada. She's over the joy. She's over the moon. And she said it's definitely her new favourite.
What's her new favourite?
One of the silkies.
Oh, yes. But
in Toronto, she found it.
Really, really, really affordable. And then you compare it with other things which are, shall we say, not as anywhere near as quality a product, and it's much more expensive. I don't know. I just think Irish whiskey really needs to settle down a bit. I know there's a sort of supply and demand thing going on as well, but anyway, I could go on. But I thought to myself, for £110, you can buy this on the website. £110 for a 28-year-old ghost distillery. You can't make any more of this. Okay, I thought it was an absolute bargain. Anyway,
very good. Trevor Watson is saying hello. Thomas Jones is saying he was in Tesco's in the Maiden City today, selling off Bushmills 10-year-old malt for £25.
Now, to be fair, Bushmills 10-year-old is pretty much a bargain at most of the time. I mean, a 10-year-old single malt for £30, it's always been about £30. Ain't nothing wrong with that, and £25 is a real bargain. But we'll start the news, and the first story is about Bushmills as well. Go on ahead, hit it, Justin.
Have you tasted that Camus yet, Marty?
No. Not that bottle. I haven't tasted this bottle just yet, but I'm going to open it. I'll open that because I can buy it again. It's not. It's part of the Cadenhead range, so they'll have plenty of it. So if you go onto their website, I think they deliver. I don't know about the delivery charges, but you can buy it in the Cadenhead shops. But well worth buying, for not an awful lot of money. Certainly not in terms of whiskey prices these days. But yeah, go and have it. Go and check it out. I thought it was a real nice bargain. Now, Bushmills, the two lovely ladies there, Lauren and Alex, Bushmills have announced that they're going to be opening 4 tours again. Hurrah!
Brilliant.
Opening on the 3rd of May, and it'll be interesting because they've built a whole new distillery. And we haven't been allowed in it since they've built this up, and it has been running. So yeah, it'll be nice to see what the new offering is and the expanded the distillery tour. I assume the tour will be much better. When I say better, much different. Enhanced probably would be a better way of putting it. Now they announced that this week at the Bushmills Giants broadcast, where people who had signed up and won a, what you might call it, I think it was maybe just a random raffle. They get a little taster pack, and they could tune in and watch the Bushmills. I was going to say the Belfast Giants there, but that's the ice hockey team. I love telling people from the States and Canada that they brought ice hockey to Belfast to promote peace. Most violent sport in the world, and they bring it to Belfast to promote peace. Although, to be fair, Belfast is the only place in the world that there's a full-scale riot at a darts match because they try to limit how much beer you can drink at a darts match.
Here, Mark's asked a question about Bushmills. None of it's open. The distillery shop isn't open. None of it's open. I checked the other day.
It's not open. It's not open, but I would say on the 3rd of May, the whole thing will open up, I would think. But probably best just to give a quick ring before you would head down. But I would imagine everything opens up. Now, Belfast Giants, you can join this. There's a little video about it.
Across Ireland, giants are rising, joining the pioneers of Irish single malt to access private tastings, special releases, and knowledge forged through 400 years and counting. Bushmills Giants. Join them now.
They must have filmed that on a sunny day because it's never like that in Bushmills.
Yeah, I had guests over, and they were wondering how Irish and Scots people cope with the lack of vitamin D because we never see the sun.
Oh, we always eat sunny D for breakfast. That's how it happens.
But no, it's good that they are going to be opening up now. That Bushmills Giants, as I say, is a new online community. It'll have limited edition, private events, videos, and all that kind of stuff. But you have to sign up for it. So if you go onto the website, you can sign up for it.
Yes, which looks like this here, actually. I'll let you see what that looks like. It's the usual. You have to enter your age and that sort of thing. And then... well, they want to know your age and your email and all the rest of it and stuff like that. But it's not too hard to sign up to. So that's what it looks like there. Yeah. That's what it looks like when you log in at this address, that address, Bushmills Giants.
I see Anthony was more or less Anthony at Irish Whisky Auctions done a bit about Bushmills at the start of the week, and I think after Sergios and me talking about it on last Saturday about. There's just things about Bushmills that just need tweaked. They could do things a little more consistent and a little bit release stuff like this for us over here. We can get our hands on it fairly quick. 46% Black Bush. Oh, give us a cast strength Bushmills that we can play at Black Bush that we can play about with. I mean, they just almost get everything perfect, and then kind of just was just a little bit off, and they do silly releases that we think. Anyway, I rant about them forever, but it'll click sometime, and it'll all just fall into place, and it'll just go off the chart, Anyway,
what's next?
Next up is our friends that we met. We met with these people over in Alowa. The loads of people that we met in Alowa that we've been back in contact with. And King's Inch, we interviewed Jack from King's Inch. And, well, they've won a whole slew of awards. And the whiskey was extremely good, from what I can remember. As the evening progressed, my memory faltered somewhat. It won a gold medal at the San Francisco Awards, and it won title from the London competitions, the best spirit in the UK.
Okay, which is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, they're asking folk to sign up to their meal shots, where once a month they're going to send somebody at random a bottle. So, as we say, we talked to those guys over in Alowa, and Jack was a really nice guy, and King's Inch.
So why is the King's Inch catching on? Because it seems to be doing a lot of activity on social media and stuff like that.
It does, and do I know what I think? One, the whiskey's good. I mean, that's a major part in it, but it's never the full story. I think the branding's pretty slick.
It's pretty catchy, isn't it? You know, it's pretty catchy. It makes you look twice at it because you go, Kongs, what? And I thought to myself, what's that all about? You know,
well, the bottle's really nice. It's very sort of tactile. The labeling's pretty good. I actually also think it probably benefits them the fact that they're in Glasgow and they're not. I hate saying this, but the sort of twee. Oh, we're in the glen and the smell of the heather and Bonnie Prince Charlie once read through here. They're not doing any of that. It's much more of this is a good.
We know somebody else is doing it this week. They're burying it in the bog, and it's not a body.
We'll get to that in a minute. Connor, all I will say is the King's Inch was early on in the day. As the evening progressed, things got a little more messy. So I remember it because I hadn't that much to drink at that point. Later on, I couldn't. If I had to go to court, I would have to perjure myself. I'm afraid.
I know.
But so that's been voted the best spirit in the UK.
It was that bad. He didn't remember what Wetherspoons he'd been in. He thought he'd been in Wetherspoons in a different town.
I thought it was a different town. But anyway. Managed to sober up eventually. But no, as I say, good on them. Again, always like saying this. Good people doing good things. So nice to see them getting some credit. Although people always get a bit skeptical. People can also get a bit skeptical about awards, but they're always nice for people to have.
There's the last hit Prestige Whiskey Auction second in that. As long as I didn't do anything rude to you when your husband was about, we're all right.
Yeah,
but, no. It was a rather good weekend. And actually, Ryan's away in Birmingham this weekend at some sort of concert.
Ryan will be all happy because Liverpool beat Man City today.
Right.
He's a massive Liverpool supporter, so he'd have been over them, and so that's them through to the final in the FA Cup. Now,
very, very good.
The next one, I'm just going to play this video because we'll talk about it after it because it's a bit. We'll play this.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. Bog snorkeling.
Oh, hello. You might be wondering what I'm doing in this here hole. Apart from the fact that I'm very good at digging myself into holes, I'm here to tell you the remarkable story of Ardbeg Fonage, the whole story. Now, it's fair to say that we all dig Ardbeg, but some of us have been digging it more than others, particularly myself. Now, way back in 2014, under the cover of darkness and aided by the then Ardbeg distillery manager, we took 2 casks of mature Ardbeg whisky, second fill ex-bourbon casks in fact, and we buried them right here in the peat underneath my feet. You could say we buried them 6 feet deep. Now, why would we do that? Well, our inquisitive nature got the better of us, and we just wanted to see what would happen when we put these casks in conditions that were starved of oxygen, were damp, were mossy, were boggy, were mucky, just to see what would happen. And in some respects, Ardbeg comes from the peat, so we thought it would be interesting to return it to the peat it came from. A truly groundbreaking endeavour. When we had this idea, we weren't mucking around. Fonage, which is Gaelic for under the turf, is our first ever subterranean spirit. And holy moly, what a kick it's got. On the nose, it's got this astonishing, warm, mossy, spicy type note going on. Incredible warmth in there. And there's something slightly savoury in the background there, almost like grilling vegetables. So I'm going to try a little sip. This is just astonishing. I've never tasted flavours like this in an Ardbeg before. It's making me think of grilled asparagus, grilled artichokes, like baking rye bread. And in the background, there's something that reminds me of fennel covered in tar or creosote. For such an intense whiskey, it's got remarkable complexity as well. And for those of you who are lucky enough to get your hands on a bottle of this, I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. To me, this is the epitome of everything an Ardbeg whiskey should be. It's mucky, it's oily, it's smoky, and it has one hell of a herbal nose on it. So good luck, and I hope you manage to land a bottle, because this is a whiskey we can all dig. Flange.
I knew it was a set. Had to be a set.
Now, I'm all for a gimmick. Everybody knows. I'm rubbing my eyes tonight because for some reason I've got sort of dusty eyes. Everybody knows I love a gimmick. Quite all for it. Now, this is only available on a website called Block Bar as an NFT, and it costs the princely. So whenever you say this doesn't sound much. It costs 1 Ethereum to buy it. That's $3,000 a bottle, right? $3,000 a bottle. Now we'll say because it's been buried in peat. It's been buried in peat. They're not going to. I don't know. They'll probably be cold enough, so they're probably not lost very much. And we'll just say there's 300 bottles. Now, as Hostile but Honourable has just pointed out, this is the wee beastie. This is £35 or something, and it's got an age statement on it. It's 5-year-old. This is pretty good. 35 quid, perfectly affordable. If you haven't got a bottle, I recommend getting one. But a second fill bourbon cask for best part of $1 million. Am I the only one? I can't be the only person that thinks this is just mental. And how on earth is this sustainable? How are people buying this?
No idea.
It's nuts.
It's good marketing, good product placement, digital advertising. Who knows?
I'm all for a gimmick, and I don't mind paying a little bit extra for a bit of a gimmick. Fair enough. I mean, it doesn't cost your average cask of whiskey. I don't know. Say it's going to cost you £5,000 or something. Say that for easy counting, right? They're turning that into nearly $1 million, and all they did was hoof it into a bog for a period of time. Now,
but they do that with some wine in Portugal. They put it in a reservoir to chill or something like that, don't they? Yeah,
absolutely.
There's James Doherty there saying there's evidence of poaching being stored like that.
Yeah,
but this is the wild mountain time of whiskey adverts. It's totally mental, Tommy, isn't it? It's totally mental.
I mean, how on earth is anybody going to take that seriously? I mean, a gimmick, fair enough. You charge maybe an extra $5 a bottle. I mean, it's just nuts, and it won't help Ardbeg's reputation. That's all I can say. It really isn't going to help Ardbeg's reputation.
Now, Mark Kerr has asked a very good question. Any good local bogs? Well, the toilets here in Carrickfergus win the awards for being the cleanest in Northern Ireland, but I wouldn't go digging in any bogs in Northern Ireland in case you find something you don't want to find.
Yeah. Shergar for a start. No, I mean, they used to store stuff, bog butter. Every so often people still come across a block of bog butter that's been there for ages and years and years, and they can still eat it. It's still edible.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. I'd say fools and their money must be easy part of it. I always think I'm a bit nuts when I pay 40, 50 quid for a bottle, a non-age statement bottle of Irish whiskey that I know probably isn't good. I know it's come from GND and it's probably all right, you know. But
Frozen
anyway,
the money are easy parted. There's a town in Bordeaux where they age the wine in the bottom of the town harbour. I thought they just put it there to keep it away from the Germans. There's Michael Matthews. There's one born every minute. There probably is. Probably
well,
is.
there's going to have to be 300 born in probably a few minutes.
I know.
But,
I did have 3 Ethereum at the start of the show, and I'm down to 2.
Yeah. Now that you're buying it, that'll put a premium on it. It'll soar out the window.
Mark Kerr says, "What are you drinking tonight?" I'm drinking soda water with lemon and lime in it. I'm on nothing. I'm on nothing.
We never getting a break, is it? Happy days.
We never getting a break.
I just noticed this. I noticed this on the cork of this boil. Look at that. Look at that. Not nice. That's this short cross.
Oh, very nice.
Not nice.
Very nice. Is that even out? Is that even out yet? That I don't think that's out yet.
Not yet. But look, isn't that lovely? It's not out yet. No.
All right.
Gosh. Special offers.
Very good.
I like the attention to detail. Like that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Anyway, now we'll go to the next story.
What on earth is this, Marty? What on earth is this?
This is the German guy who's the whiskey figure. This is Wolfgang Roth. I hope I pronounced that right. You speak German. Well, you attempt to speak a bit of German. How do you pronounce that, Justin? R-O-T-H-E.
Wolfgang Roth.
Roth. Right, okay. Now, he's from Munich in Germany, and he has been made a keeper of the quick, okay? Which is like it's like a society for people who have made contributions to Scotch whiskey.
That's the quick of my nails.
Aye. Anyway, he's been made one of these guys, and he's brought over. And what he's done on his Facebook page is really interesting. It's really nice. He took loads of photos at the ceremony and basically showed everybody what actually goes on. So this is his certificate. And
what is a quick?
It's basically a drinking cup. It used to be poured in there, and then you took a sip and passed it around, and it's like a ceremonial drinking cup.
Oh, it's to give everybody COVID. Right, good.
Yeah, pre-COVID. So this is them marching it in with the Grand Master of the Keepers of the Quick, who's the Duke of Argyll, Torquil Ian Campbell, who I've met a couple of times up at Inverary Castle, where he lives. Nice guy, really nice guy. This is them socially distancing, touching the quick, so they don't get COVID. And one of the things is this is in Blair Castle. I was there during the week. I'll show you a wee picture in a minute. It's in Blair Castle, which is the it's just outside Pitlochry, and it's a super spot. But it's the Atholl Highlanders. It's the home of the Duke. It's not the home. It's the seat of the Duke of Atholl, who has the only legal private army in Europe. And the Atholl Highlanders, there's about 12 of them. They've all got a uniform and all, and they all march about around. They do all this ceremonial stuff. But it's the only legal private army in Europe. It's just cool. The whole place is pretty cool. So that's the hall, the banqueting hall. So go and check out Wolfgang Roth, his Facebook page, and he tells you all about it and all that ceremonial stuff. It's all a bit gimmicky, but I like all that. I'm a bit of a sucker for it. But this week I was up there.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da! That was me.
There you go.
That was me up touching it. Me gainfully employed and doing a bit of work, and I was up. That's probably about as close as I'll ever get to being having to do with it. But yeah, it just sets out. Most people walk by, they don't really appreciate what it is.
You'll be like Captain Manwaring. You'll be there toasting the haggis in 2 years' time. What do you see?
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there filming live. As long as I get haggis, some haggis, neeps, and tatties, I'll be happy.
As long as it's food, you'll be there. Free grub. Justin would travel to Cork for a win of free sandwiches. Not a problem.
That's true.
That's true.
Absolutely
I'm not lying.
Absolutely true. Here, we better give these guys a mention. There's Jody Burke saying hello. Hello from Prince Edward Island.
There he is from Potato Land.
Sponsor time. There we go. So,
Cairn Distillery, Cairn Founders Program. Get in now before while they're offering it up. And it'll be a few years before you'll actually have whiskey, but they are going to be open and they are going to be distilling next year. So
Beautiful part of the world, and it's where the
is.
gold comes from. It's from the Spurrins, where the gold is in Northern Ireland.
I actually have a little bit of Spurrin gold in the house, and I don't mean the cheese. It's actually there's plans to open a gold mine down there, and I actually got a little bit of flake inside like a pen thing that they give me. That's actually pretty cool. I like that as well. It's nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Right,
Very nice.
last story. Do this quite quickly. The University of Technology in Sydney have developed a NOS.E system for detecting and authenticating whiskies, because there's lots of fakeries about, lots of shenanigans going on, as you can imagine. And so they are basically, what you do is you take a little drop of this whiskey out, tiny bit, and then they analyze it, they sniff it, and basically put it together against the database of what it is, and that tells you whether it's true or not. Which, if you're actually a collector and you want to spend money on a collection, then this is probably a good way of doing it. But it is invasive, so I don't know how keen people would be to do that. But
what do you do? Stick a thing, a needle through the top of the bottle or something like that, Marty?
That would be how they would have to extract it and then put it on, and then
I think that would be a worthy sacrifice to discover you're getting the real thing, because, as you know, even the high-end shops have been caught out with fakes and all.
Loads of people. I mean, I can imagine there's a whole process of them churning through auction sites. Because let's be honest, if you have an empty bottle and it's of a certain age, long before people would ever have thought of people cloning their whiskey, And so, Mark has pointed out, yes, there is supposedly a system where they can shine it through a laser, and that also tells. I don't know anybody that's ever used any of these. I asked a couple of people.
It'd be expensive. It was expensive. I think that was Israeli, that one, but I'm sure that would work. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. That would definitely work. Now, remember to comment, like, and share. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Look at him showing off because his uncle's a physicist.
We're on LinkedIn, Twitch, and Telegram as well now. So we're on the 5 Live. We're like 5 Live. My gosh. 5 Lives, BBC 5 Live. We're on 5 Live, right. 5 different channels live. We aren't on Instagram because Instagram only let you do short 10-minute things now. So had to change it about to Telegram, which is
right. As long as they keep letting me do duckle vision, I go down and feed my ducks pretty much every day.
That is true. Remember to hit us up. Remember, hit subscribe on YouTube, especially if you haven't subscribed already. Comment, like, and share on any of the posts. We always do reply. We always try to include you in the show as well, which is live. Apart from this next bit.
Yeah, we recorded this while I was still over in the States, and we just haven't had a chance really to get it out. And it's guys from Boozapp. They'll tell you all about it, but it's another way. Supply and demand. Lots of whiskies are hard to get, and these guys are sort of trying to maybe overcome that a little bit. So, Scott and Rich.
These two guys, Scott and Rich, they're the guys that are responsible for these shots of people holding bottles and cigars in their lap in their Mercedes-Benz vehicles in America, saying they've hunted down the best, cheapest bottle they can find. My God, would I like to ram and carjack these people?
Now, that's an introduction and a half, Rich and Scott. You guys have started an app really to sort of create awareness for price gouging. That's essentially what you're trying to do, as far as I can see. Boozapp is what you're responsible for. Somebody explain to me. Tell me what the problem was you saw and how the app fixes it.
Well, I'd be remiss to speak over the top of Rich, which I've done the past couple origin storytelling. So, Rich, do you mind sharing kind of what kicked this off?
Yeah, it was very beginning of COVID, and I was traveling for work out of state, and I went to buy a bottle of bourbon, and the price was dramatically different at this liquor store than what I was used to paying back home. And I was like, no, this bottle should cost this much. And he was like, no, it costs this much. And I was like, no, it costs this much. And we went back and forth a few times, and I left. I ended up buying a different bottle, and I was upset. As I left, I realized I was upset because I thought he was trying to rip me off. But then he was upset because he thought I was trying to rip him off. So I was like, wait a second. Okay, there's a disconnect here where both of us have the wrong idea, if you will, of how much this bottle of booze should cost. So with some homework, Scott and I, we were in the tech industry together, recently laid off at the beginning of COVID. Things got scary. Everyone was kind of clamping down. So we had the time to dig in and play around. And before you knew it, we became obsessed with liquor pricing and this mystification, this intentional kind of confusion and like hiding the prices. So Scott and I decided, hey, let's make a list. Let's just track down all the prices. We'll make a list. It was an Excel sheet, and we'll put it out on Reddit or something. And it kind of just snowballed from there into what it does today.
Now, I have to explain the difference in prices of booze in liquor stores and off licenses in the States or in the UK and whatnot. These are private companies. So is there a recommended retail prices on booze, for example, in the States, and bourbon in the States?
Yeah, there are recommended prices, and they do get released. In fact, we're seeing more and more of these distillers release the price with the bottle. And you'll see them, especially in bourbon now. It's very popular to get your bottles reviewed by some of the websites out there. And they're almost asking now for that MSRP. Unfortunately, it immediately goes kind of to the side as it goes through the three-tier system that exists here in America, which I think other countries have kind of modeled a little bit as well, which makes it very hard to track what that price is supposed to be and to honor that at the liquor store. And then you have the extra bit of demand and hype that creates a lack of availability for those bottles, which instead of like your favorite Columbia jacket at the REI store, you're going to see the price of that item go up higher and higher and higher until people are just unwilling to pay that price.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of price disparity within a state where the price more or less should be the same? Is that a problem? Because I do know where I lived in England, you could buy a can of a popular Atlanta beverage for 30p in one store, and in another store it would be £1, and all you need to do to save $50 was walk 100 yards down the street.
yeah, it's exactly the same. Now it's important to note there are some states in the United States that are control states. So the liquor. Yeah, exactly. Ohio's a good one, a good example. And those prices are set. So the state buys all those booze and says, this is how much you can pay. But they have very limited quantities often. The other states that don't have or have significantly looser laws concerning pricing, it'll be exactly that. You can go 5 different stores, see 5 different prices, all in the same town. Yeah.
Now, whenever you say the 3-tier system, what do you mean by that? Explain that to people.
So the 3-tier system arrived in the United States as a cause of the prohibition not working out so well. So prohibition restricted all liquor. I'm not sure about all of alcohol, but I think to most of the case, it was trying to apply to liquor as much as possible. And when it just kind of seemed like bootlegging was taking over anyway, they allowed the laws to ease up a bit, but they did it in a way that still tried to keep the power of distribution in the hands of the government. And all of the liquor distribution for the first 50 years or so was owned by the government, and they broke it out state by state. Each state kind of acted as their own distributor and actually kind of made a pretty good amount of money off of that as they opened liquor back up. Now, they also couldn't be the distributor and then also run the stores. And they also put in a rule where the distillers couldn't run the stores, and the distillers couldn't distribute that to the stores even. And things have gotten quite a bit, well, they're in a lot of ways the same, in a lot of ways a little different. I think pandemic has actually accelerated the liquor industry in the public eye a bit, where now direct to consumer was starting to kind of make some headway. The ready to drink cocktails industry is starting to blow up, and so you're starting to see a little bit more leeway with that. And as well, some states, so for example, just north of me is Washington, and they were a control state for the very longest time. And then I think really just in the past 15 years, they switched over to being a not control state. So they still have a liquor board and everything, but the prices have gone absolutely skyrocketing, but so has availability.
Yeah. So your app attempts to address this. It's more about consumer awareness. It's basically giving people the information. Explain how it works.
We like to think it as we call it the democratization. Actually, Will Price coined that. And so we think it's like the demystification, right? We just want to share as much of this information with as many people as possible. So the idea is like, we're not trying to change, we're not trying to dramatically change the price. We're not trying to, we just really don't want anyone to get robbed. That's our thing. Don't get robbed, whether you're the consumer, but also we know plenty of retailers out there who are confused about pricing or don't know what a good competitive price should be. There's plenty of bottles that are out there that people are asking insanely exorbitant prices because they think it's popular. Those bottles just collect dust in years and years and years. That retailer, if he had a better idea of what he should charge, he could move that bottle quicker. So it's really just about sharing as much information as possible.
You're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin it for people getting a unicorn bottle in 10 years' time, but Rich.
No, obviously that's, there is a demand, right? And that's a big part of the app as well, is something that we refer to as a fair price. And really this is we say, here's the price that the manufacturer suggests. Here's kind of the going rate online across the most popular websites and as much data as we can pull from as many stores as possible. And then you vote, the users vote. And it's kind of like, would you pay this much for this bottle? And then people say yes or no. And that kind of fair price moves up and down. So sometimes you'll see a shelf price and a fair price that are really close together. And sometimes you'll see a shelf price and a fair price that are really far apart. And, so the idea is to let everyone kind of have share their opinion, have a piece to this.
Now, if users scan, they can scan a bottle themselves, can the barcode, and put that content into the system then?
Not yet. It's just a simple, intelligent search. So anything you type in, it's just like Google will find it. We don't scan yet, but so it's something we get asked for, and now we're talking about putting it on the list. So, but that someone can just type in. It'll list the bottles that are already in the list. If there's a rare bottle, a very old bottle, or sometimes a very popular thing is single store barrel picks. And if there isn't an example already of that very, on the app, you can actually add that bottle as well and show us, hey, this is what I paid for it. And then we'll go and track down as many transactions of that bottle as possible to verify those prices. And it's just, go check it out. Search for a bottle and get an idea of kind of where the price range is, and then you can make an educated purchase decision. That's what we like to say.
Now, how's it been received by the retailers? Because obviously putting more information in customers' hands. Some retailers like this, some retailers don't. So how's it been received by them?
It's a good question. We've talked to, thousands of retailers over the last year and a half, just so many retailers. And majority of them actually are okay with it and like it. And the reason being is it cuts down on a lot of, it should be this, or I thought it cost this, or this place charges this much. Again, sharing that information, the retailers feel like, look, it's not on me. This is what the going rate is. Don't get mad at me when I want $120 for my Blanton's that you just walked in for. This is what people are saying, this is what it's going for online. And because we like to say, because we're not trying to sell you bottles, we're not trying to sell bottles to the consumer. We're not trying to lead you to specific retailers. Our idea is just kind of to share that information. We feel like we're an outside, we're just, here we go. Here's the price. We're not affecting anything. You guys decide the price and the manufacturers, and then that information shared. I think it's an even playing field for the retailer to kind of stand by.
Tell me this, Scott. Has anybody says, I've seen this for $50 here, and your computer's gone, oh, that's worth £5,000.
And you see Rich in the car like this.
You get in the car, you drive straight there and then buy it, do you? That's bound to happen. It is bound to happen.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to answer that because it's true. It is true. I know it's true.
Hey, we definitely know. We're bourbon hunters ourselves. Again, a big part of this, we started this was we just wanted to know prices, and then we wanted to list. We made a dream list. These are all the bottles that we could ever find that we want. What should the prices be? So we come from the desire is also secretly to get as much great bourbon as we can for a reasonable price, right? And enjoy the bourbons and find them. You get good stuff in Texas over there. So,
there's some good stuff here at the minute.
Yeah.
Are you? It's retail at the minute. Is there a secondary market auction element to it, or is there going to be?
We're not necessarily supporting the secondary market. The fact is, it's going to exist regardless of what the system is. And I think a lot of that is the cause of the third tier system, because there is a missing element from that. And it's that, if these bottles have a rarity to them, then they're going to be more valuable in a trading sense than they are in a drinking sense to a lot of people. You're also seeing a very a legal version of the secondary market in that there are whiskey brokers now, there are liquor brokers in the same way that there are wine brokers. And so that's also an industry that I think can and will grow out of this, especially in the internet age, where there's a lot more interest in seeing that as a traded item. Now, as far as the secondary market as it exists now, we're not, putting anything in place to support that, because that's not technically legal. And I know that there are, other places out there that people are using in order to make those trades that are constantly having to fight battles of shutting that down. And we don't want to tread that line. What we do want to do is just make it transparent, so that even people that are buying secondary, if that's what they're going to choose to do, they also can have a reference point that allows them to be a little more protected. Because you don't want to meet up with someone and then not really know what you're getting into, but heard this bottle is great. Somebody buying a bottle of Pappy's, you want to know like you're obviously not going to get it for MSRP, but you don't want to get it for $3,000 over MSRP either.
And that not be legit either. Always try and buy from reputable dealers, folks.
For better for worse, we get tagged sometimes on Facebook chats where people are actually through code selling bottles, and someone will go, "That's not how much it costs on Boozapp." You're right, and that's not how much. And we get tagged. We see those things. We just kind of like quietly slip out of the room. We're just that's just the price that people are paying. And we're not
selling anything. We're just telling you what the price is. Right. So it's available in the US at the minute. Are you going global?
As of right now, we're not going global. I wish we could. I think it's there's what we're learning though is actually in every market, even without the 3-tier system exactly the way it is in America, there's a lot of different shenanigans going on that kind of makes pricing pretty wild and crazy. And with the way we see it going is, you can buy a car in any market too. And back before Kelley Blue Book, the car industry was very similar, where there was a supply and a demand, and it was very obscure, and only select people knew what that availability was and what the pricing actually was. And what Kelley Blue Book did was make it to where the pricing has to be visible. And that's where I think that we can probably shed a little bit of light on that in every region. We do actually have a lot of downloaders in Canada, which, maybe they're closer to the border, so they can actually get, liquor in America and go back. But
they're not like over the border at the minute.
So yeah, there's certainly a lot of use case in other places. It's just a market we're not so familiar with, and I think we'll get there.
Yeah. Now, more information into customers' hands. What's not to like about the thing? So the app's free to download. There's a consumer and a retailer section to it. So if you're a retailer, you come on and so on. So
Scott Manning, Rich Morrow from Boozapp, thanks a lot for joining us this evening on Irish Whiskey Review, which is all about whiskey. Bourbon, Scotch doesn't necessarily have to be Irish.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
There we go. There is all of this to put more information into consumers' hands. I noticed that this is obviously for the US, but I think these kind of things, it's a bit like our resident expert, or Carl, who anyone who's going to go to an auction looking at stuff and
The Whiskey Companion, yes.
Or
It,
Whiskey
it
Companion.
helps you. It helps you.
no, it's just it gives you, it's easy, accessible. You don't have to do it yourself, and you can pick these things up. And more information, especially these days when the days of just popping out, buying a bottle of whiskey for your 20 quid and sitting having a drink over a weekend, they're kind of gone a bit. People are much more invested and involved in the whole buying and drinking process. Lots of people don't even drink it. I mean, I know a couple of people who don't drink, they still buy whiskey to have it as a collection.
So Jim Mulkey asked about does anyone know why Jameson stopped making the 1789? It was sublime.
I don't know. I would imagine it'll have been, we weren't making enough profit or something. So who knows? These are corporate decisions.
Should we show that wee video again of where he's buried? No?
Did we show it last week? I don't
think we did. I don't think we did show it. Did we?
No, we didn't show it.
We didn't show it. We'll have to show it.
No,
Now,
you didn't show this. Now, I'll just fill in a little bit of background about this. Okay. Again, we're still talking about Alowa because we were over there. The reason there was three elements to the festival. One, obviously, the whiskey, the industrial heritage and wellness. So there was a charity there called Neil's Hug, which was talking about wellness and mental health and preventing suicide. The whiskey, obviously, that was why we were there. But the industrial stuff, they were talking about canvas and whatnot. But John Jameson, that's where he's from. Now, I'll just put a bit of context to this. We want to go and see his grave of John Jameson, of Jameson fame, okay? Jameson Irish whiskey. He's from Scotland. He was a Scot. Now, if you ever go to Scotland, they'll quite happily tell you that whiskey came to Scotland from Ireland. That's pretty much, they're certain sure of that. Can't really be definite because it's not written down as historical fact, but it's pretty much nailed on. That's where it came from. Jameson was Scottish and came over. And let's be honest, you have Jameson and the rest of Irish whiskey. Okay. But the reason he got into whiskey was because of his wife, Margaret Haig. Now, when we went up, this place that people would sort of possibly go on a pilgrimage to say they'd been there, it's locked. They've all locked up.
It's always locked.
Permanently. But by some miracle, still baffles me how it happened. I managed to find myself inside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I managed to find Alowa Old Kirkyard, and I'm going to try and get in. Look at this here. Look at that there. Burke and her have nothing on me. Look at that there. Just going to break it in the gate like this here. Look at that there. Oh, brilliant. We're in and all. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm so brilliant. I'll just get my stuff here. Now, the Jameson family. John Jameson, 1740 to 1823, Irish whiskey distiller, was baptised on the 5th of October 1740 in Alowa, one of the children of William Jameson of Alowa and his wife Helen Home of Thormo, Kinrossshire. In 1768 he married Margaret. She lived from 1753 to 1815. She's the eldest daughter of John Haig, whiskey distiller of the Gartlands, Gartlet, Kilbeggy, and his wife Margaret Stein of Kennet Pans. In the mid-1770s, John Jameson travelled to Dublin, where he became aware of the possibility existing there for starting his own business. Ireland at that time had a different regulatory system to Scotland. In 1780, he established a distillery in Bow Street in the heart of Dublin. The site developed into the firm of John Jameson and Sons, and the famous whiskey produced there became globally recognised. In 1804, John Jameson II took over the running of the Bow Street distillery from his father. He remained in charge until 1851, when his son, also called John, took control. John Jameson II was married to Isabel Stein of Kennet Pans. And all four of John Jameson's sons followed into the distilling world, with John Jameson II installed at Bow Street. His younger brother, William, was distilling across the River Liffey at Marrowbone Lane. After William's early death in 1802, a third son, James, took over William's interest in the distillery. Although the firm still carried William's name, the two distilleries worked independently and were in fact rivals. A fourth son, Andrew, who had a small distillery at Enniscorthy, County Wexford, was the grandfather of none other than Guglielmo Marconi, the inventor of the wireless telegraphy. Now, if you wonder how I know all this stuff, it's because I'm reading it off this board here. Marty had to do the hard stuff.
So, we're in Alowa, and we're at the grave of, really, some would say, what is Irish whiskey. We're here at the grave of John Jameson. And John Jameson was actually born in Alowa. He was born here, and when he died, he was buried here, obviously. That's why we're here. What a lot of people don't maybe know is that Jameson was actually a solicitor. He was a lawyer. And he married into the Haig family. And he married a woman called Margaret Haig. Now, they had 16 children. Now, there was no Game of Thrones back in the day. So, they had this huge family. Now, the Haig family married into the Steens, and they were really the whiskey monopoly. They were just the biggest whiskey family, certainly in Scotland. But they had distilleries in Dublin, and Jameson moved across to Dublin to start running them. And he then founded his own distillery, and the legacy went on from there. Now, here he actually has, back in 1942, John Alowa Jameson, named after, obviously, the town that he originally came from. So this history is connected through. Now, this Presbyterian graveyard, and John and his wife, Margaret, are both buried there. So what we have, as a little tribute, I brought a little drop of Haig from back in the 1950s, and if I can get the lid off, bear in mind this was put on 60 years ago, and what we're going to do is pay a little salute to Margaret, because without Margaret, John wouldn't have ever really been in the distilling. He'd have been busy wearing silly wig in court. So just a little tribute to Margaret Jameson, or Margaret Haig as she was known. So, salute you. And I'll tell you what, I'll re-drop myself. Just what you need.
Now, Jameson prospers. The 1814 Excise Act made it illegal to have a still of
I'm still withering away.
gallons.
I know.
And was a great boost to John
God love
Jameson's
us.
son. It allowed them to seize the opportunity to invest and expand production. The Jameson's family passion for high quality standards met by that time. Alfred Bernard, another, visited in 1886. Jameson Irish whiskey was already famous around the world. The distillery had expanded to cover more than 5 acres of ground and was producing around 1 million.
So I've seen you're a tour guide.
annually.
I know it's up there. That's the grave up
Shall we
there
try and get
behind
in?
that gate. That's where you were.
Oh, I'll try and get in. I'll give you a footy, give us a foot up. 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 No, it's too hurting me.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy,
dear
that was
God.
funny. That was funny. That
It was funny. But no, I remember being in, should a name and shame or just sort of brush over? I'm trying to be. I remember.
Don't tell the story you told me this week.
No, I'll tell a different story. No, I was in a whiskey experience place in Dublin. Probably gives it away without having to. And what they said was, we don't like to talk about John Jameson because he's Scottish and we're Irish, and we don't want to talk about him. That's what they said.
All right.
Now, this is to give you an idea. This place is named for the Greek for a place apart, a place of learning. It's supposed to be educational, and that's the guff that they were coming out with.
Okay.
Unreal.
There you go. Great week this week. Great show. Boozapp was brilliant. They were good, those guys.
Yeah, they were, and I'm doing a good job.
Better give the sponsors one last plug.
Absolutely. I keep telling you, you have to plug our sponsor, Anne Cairn Distillery, cask program, the Founders Cask. If you want to have it, get in early, get into the 464 program and pick yourself up a cask that you will have stored down there.
There's Frank Hearn saying drink may have been taken in the making of the last video. It wasn't. We were stone cold sober. Would have breakfast to choke a donkey.
Aye, well, I wouldn't have fancied driving at that point, Justin, let's be honest.
We took the train.
Yeah, I think we could possibly still have been slightly over the limit at that point.
We were on the train. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to comment, like, and share on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Telegram, and a wee bit on Instagram as well. And goes up in Pinterest too. Thanks for watching. What's next week? Do we know?
Justin, we didn't know it was on this show at 9:30, so
we did. It's all planned. People know it's planned.
Aye, it's all planned.
Yeah.
Aye. Let's stop you trying to tell people we know what we're doing.
I think they do after two 2-hour marathon live shows.
Yeah.
But there you go. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you.
Guys. Hope
Yes.
you all have a nice day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice days off and all that.
Yeah, and remember what you do. Never roll back the stone. Keep it there. All right?
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.